Chapter 1: A Desperate Space Battle. The command center of the UNS Elysium was a dimly lit mess of holographic projections, sparks from overloaded systems, and the sharp crackle of communications feeds. Admiral Noah Cade surveyed the starfield before him, a panoramic vista littered with debris and the hulking forms of an approaching alien armada. Hundreds of shimmering, sleek vessels belonging to the dreaded Drokali, a militaristic species known for their cold efficiency, advanced toward the human defensive line. They were the vanguard of the coalition, the United Alien Alliance sworn to destroy humanity. "Admiral, they've entered the asteroid field," his second-in-command, Commander Lee, reported, her voice betraying none of the tension in the air. "They outnumber us 10 to 1. "Perfect," Cade said, a grim smile tugging at his lips. "That's exactly where we want them." The Elysium was one of the last surviving battleships in the system, a bulwark defending the mining colonies on the planet Epsilon 9. The loss of Epsilon 9 would mean the end of the rare mineral supply that fed Earth's war machine. It wasn't just a battle for a planet, it was a battle for survival. Cade had no illusions about the odds. The Drokali ships were faster, better armed, and equipped with shields that human weapons could barely scratch. But the asteroid field they were entering was Cade's battlefield, and no one knew how to turn the environment into a weapon better than a desperate human. "Activate the traps. And prepare for impact," Cade commanded. The vast asteroid field surrounding Epsilon 9 was a graveyard of wrecks from previous skirmishes, but it had also become a weapon. For the last month, Cade's engineers had been rigging the debris with hidden explosives and laying mines along the asteroid belt's unpredictable routes. Now, with the Drokali fleet entering it, the stage was set. As the first wave of Drokali vessels swept into the field, there was a flicker on the tactical displays. Then, boom! A cascade of explosions ripped through the rocks, sending shards of ice and iron hurtling through space like shrapnel. The lead Drokali ships vanished in brilliant flashes of blue and gold, their shields overwhelmed by the sheer volume of debris. Cade grinned as his crew erupted into cheers. "Send in the drones." Swarms of drones launched from the human fleet, small and nimble enough to navigate the treacherous asteroid field with ease. These weren't advanced combat machines, but cheap, heavily armed suicide units. They swarmed the panicked Drokali ships, diving at their engines and soft spots with devastating efficiency. The Drokali had planned for a straightforward battle, expecting the humans to fight desperately in open space. But now, they were fighting ghosts in a graveyard, their superior technology rendered almost useless in the chaos. "Admiral, they are breaking formation," Commander Lee reported, her voice barely containing her excitement. "We're winning." "Not yet," Cade said, though his smile widened. "We've bought time. Now, let's finish them." With their formation shattered, the Drokali fleet became vulnerable to the second phase of Cade's plan. Human warships emerged from behind asteroids, where they had been lying in wait. They struck like wolves, picking off the isolated Drokali ships one by one. What had started as a suicide mission had turned into a tactical masterpiece. The Drokali Armada, once an overwhelming force, was now a disorganized mess of burning wrecks. For the first time in this war, humanity had done more than survive, they had won. Chapter 2: A Ground War on a Hostile Planet. The blistering winds of Vorus 4 tore across the endless desert plains, sand scouring anything foolish enough to remain exposed. Captain Sarah Vance, commander of the 22nd Marine Battalion, knelt behind a ridge of cracked, sun-baked rock, watching as the alien war machines of the Korath horde lumbered closer. Towering metallic beasts, their legs like tree trunks, armed with plasma cannons that could vaporize a man in an instant. "We're going to need more than bullets to take those things down," Corporal Ramirez muttered, eyeing the advancing army. "Then we'll have to get creative," Vance replied. Creativity was humanity's only advantage here. The Korath, a brutal species with bioengineered bodies impervious to most human weaponry, were nearly impossible to beat in a straight-up fight. But this was no ordinary battlefield. This was a desert planet that no alien could fully understand, not like a human could. Vorus 4 was hell. Temperatures soared to 150 degrees during the day, plummeting to freezing at night. The Korath relied on their environmental suits and their bioengineered resilience to endure it, but humans? Humans had spent centuries mastering extreme conditions back on Earth. "Get the thermal shields ready. We're going underground," Vance ordered. Her Marines donned their heat-dampening cloaks and vanished into the caves they had spent days excavating beneath the desert floor. The Korath were relentless, but they were also predictable. The massive war machines and heavy infantry marched toward the human camp, thinking they had the Marines pinned. But the humans had no intention of meeting them head-on. As the Korath forces stomped over the sands, the ground beneath them gave way. Explosives, buried deep under the surface, triggered a series of controlled collapses. Massive sinkholes opened beneath the Korath's feet, swallowing their mechanical beasts whole. Others were ensnared by nets of electrified wire that snapped up from beneath the sand, frying their systems. "Now!" Vance shouted into her comm. The Marines emerged from their hidden tunnels, armed with weapons scavenged and modified from alien tech. Plasma grenades, stolen Korath energy rifles, and homemade explosives cobbled together with scavenged parts. They moved like shadows, striking the exposed Korath infantry with hit-and-run tactics, exploiting every weakness. The Korath, for all their superior strength, couldn't adapt. They were built for power, not cunning. They had expected a straightforward battle on the surface. But in the treacherous desert, they were outmaneuvered at every turn. One by one, their war machines toppled, and their infantry fell to the relentless human attacks. By the time the sun set, the desert was littered with the smoking ruins of an alien army. Chapter 3: A Covert Infiltration. The corridors of the Corian dreadnought hummed with alien energy. The ship's core, a massive, pulsing superweapon capable of destroying entire star systems, glowed ominously at the center of the chamber. Sergeant Leon Ramirez and his team of human special forces clung to the shadows, watching as the Corian engineers worked, oblivious to the intruders. "Intel says this thing can wipe out Earth in one shot," Ramirez whispered. "No pressure." His squad, 5 elite operatives, had been handpicked for this mission, to infiltrate the Corian flagship and destroy the weapon from within. The Corians were telepathic, their empire spanning 1,000 systems, their technology light-years ahead of humanity's. But Ramirez and his team had something the Corians didn't expect: unpredictability. "We've only got one shot at this," Ramirez said. "On my mark, we make it look like an accident." The plan was audacious, bordering on suicidal. Ramirez's team had spent weeks studying Corian tech, figuring out how to exploit weaknesses. But they couldn't simply blow up the core; it would alert the entire Corian fleet. No, they needed subtlety. A cascade failure, something that would take out the superweapon but make it look like a malfunction. The team worked in silence, hacking into the ship's systems, planting devices in strategic locations. Ramirez himself climbed into the superweapon's primary control module, carefully loosening connections and rerouting power conduits. One wrong move, and the whole thing could blow, taking them all with it. "Done," Ramirez said after an agonizing few minutes. "Now let's get the hell out of here." As they crept back toward their exfiltration point, alarms blared throughout the ship. Ramirez grinned. The Corians thought they had an internal systems failure. In reality, they had just lost their greatest weapon, without ever knowing humanity had been there. Chapter 4: The War for Earth. The skies over New York burned as alien ships descended from the clouds, their weapons ripping through skyscrapers like paper. Earth's defense grid had crumbled, orbital stations reduced to wreckage, and now the Kreen, the most advanced race in the coalition, were bringing the war to humanity's homeworld. But Earth was not an easy target. On the ground, General Marcus Alvarez coordinated the defense from a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. "They think they can take us on our own soil," he growled, "but they don't know what's waiting for them." The Kreen were used to fighting in space, used to overwhelming enemies with superior technology. But Earth was different. It was a world of cities and forests, deserts and oceans, terrain that no alien could understand as well as its native defenders. "Deploy the guerrilla teams," Alvarez ordered. "And bring the EMPs online." Across the globe, human forces launched an asymmetric campaign of terror. Commandos hidden in urban rubble struck at alien patrols with ambushes and traps. Fighter jets, using old-world stealth technology, zoomed between skyscrapers, striking from unexpected angles. In the jungles, human soldiers used the dense canopy to outmaneuver the Kreen, turning Earth itself into a weapon. But the real trump card came when the alien motherships deployed their ground troops en masse. Alvarez's engineers had been preparing for this. A network of hidden EMPs, buried deep in the Earth, activated simultaneously. The result was catastrophic for the Kreen. Their advanced technology, reliant on energy shields and drones, suddenly became useless. Now, it was humans with low-tech weapons against aliens who had never fought without their technological crutches. And humans knew how to fight dirty. The Kreen invasion faltered. In cities like Tokyo, Paris, and Sao Paulo, human resistance groups rose up, using centuries of Earth-based warfare techniques that no alien could have anticipated. It was no longer a battle of technology. It was a battle of will. And humanity's will to survive was indomitable. Epilogue. Humanity did more than survive the war. They adapted, they resisted, and they evolved. Against all odds, they turned the coalition's arrogance against them, exploiting every weakness, defying every expectation. The galaxy would never underestimate them again.